True value comes from giving without keeping score. Impact grows strongest when there's no expectation of anything in return. Today I'm going to share with you the story about how I turned something terrible that happened during the pandemic into being invited to a roundtable at the White House. This is day 2 of the 30-day challenge, where I'm going to share some stories in the intent of getting other founders to share their stories and create a discussion around being bold and innovative. And along the lines, sharing some of the lessons that I had learned along the way in my 20 plus years experience as being a founder. I've been a part of some of the fastest growing companies on the planet. So I've learned a couple of things along the way, and there's some core principles that I feel like I can share with you guys. So back during the pandemic, when things were starting to get really bleak, I had just started a company called Swift Ride. You got to imagine this, it's September of 2019. We had acquired a little company, we had a mobile application, we had some really cool partners in place, and what we ended up deciding to do was start to grow and build heat and momentum. We got office space, everything was exciting, and we all were really passionate and driven towards playing our part in a smart mobility, smart cities type solution that just happens to be technically a transportation and mobility company. Fast forward to March of 2020. That's when I was supposed to start to fundraise. And I decided at that point that I was just going to bootstrap this company. I was going to do everything I could to reduce my expenses as much as possible to be able to carry the team as best I possibly could and work within some of the rules and programs that were already out there to be able to allow for us to move forward. Now, I didn't know what to do. I was up at the cottage, I'm here right now, and so I was having this thought in terms of, well shit, what am I going to do? So I decided to create a peer-to-peer network through WhatsApp for various different founders from all over the world. And so it was globally focused, but regional, so we could share different stories within these different groups. And I was able to understand the impacts of COVID-19 from all these other different founders as I'm sitting by myself or with my trusted bubble of family up at the cottage. But I decided to sit down and write out my thoughts of what I think needs to be done in the event that it gets to become a legitimate Black Swan event. So what I did was I wrote down my game plan, and it was 2 pages, and it was simply just what it is that we need to do in order to be able to survive, because we didn't know how long it was going for. I was looking into like a black hole. I had no idea what was going to happen. So what I decided to do is, after I wrote this, I thought, okay, I should share this with the other founders, because I genuinely believe that it's not just going to help my business, but I think it'll help a lot of other businesses as well. And so what happened out of that was it was so well received, and I was really surprised about that in terms of it was just a very straightforward game plan. Reduce costs and expenses as much as possible, cut all marketing spend. If you have to do any layoffs, do all the layoffs right away, because you don't want your team members to be thinking, are they going to be next kind of thing. So you don't want this like wave of layoffs. Now, it's my personal view. I'm a culture guy. I've always thought it's really important about having a good, strong culture. So when I did that, I put it out there, and it was really well received for a whole bunch of different founders. And one of the guys ended up actually being a professor at NYU Stern School of Management. And so it's one of the top business schools in the world. And he ended up actually inviting me to address his class. I believe it was like an MBA entrepreneurship class, to speak about this paper that I had written, but also to share the stories about what it was like as a founder in those moments as this was going along. And so I thought that'd be awesome, but I thought it'd be kind of weird just for me as one founder that's a small early stage startup. So I thought it would be so much cooler if we had a couple of different founders. One who created a unicorn in this crazy pandemic environment, and another one who had a very large, a really amazing business. He had over 800 employees, and during the pandemic, he went down to 0 almost overnight. And he pivoted to creating this amazing AI product. So I invited them to come along and share their stories as well. So we addressed the class and shared the information, and it was really nice, and I had a lot of fun doing that. I just thought it would be something really cool to share with other founders as well, get a little bit of exposure, and kind of bring some positive momentum to a couple other different founders, because it was a pretty dark time. Now, fast forward a little bit, I ended up getting invited to be a part of a roundtable at the freaking White House. And it was an online, it was a Zoom call thing, but still, it was about how the White House can support small businesses during the pandemic. And so it was an incredible experience, such an honor to be a part of something like that. And so this never would have happened if I didn't start that peer-to-peer network, that I didn't share these insights about what I was going through, that without any intention of getting anything back, just wanting to share with other founders, to then being able to go right to the tops of the government in this crazy time frame. And I think it's just something completely random that happened, and I'm so grateful for all the doors that have opened up because of that. And unfortunately my company didn't survive, but I learned so much about really what I'm made of in the darkest of times, in terms of where my default mindset is around adversity. And I've never been afraid of adversity, but in this particular instance, like, my back was up against a wall. There were so many challenges and things, and I didn't know what to do, and I had to do the best that I could to communicate and lead my team. It was a tough time, but throughout all of that, I looked at it in terms of who I was, and it felt like it was the right thing to do, and because of that, I'm so much further along. So it goes back to the original quote that I said: true value comes from giving without keeping score, and impact grows strongest without any expectation of anything in return. So hopefully you like this video. It's just random stories, but I put it back to you guys. What did you do during the pandemic that was bold or innovative? Or was there a connection, a network, or somebody that helped you along the way in these dark times that you'd be willing to share? Feel free to tag me. I should maybe think about some kind of a hashtag or something like that can tie back in so everybody can find the conversation. If you guys have any ideas around that, I'd love that. But let's get this conversation going. This is day 2. I'm Mike. Peace.